Stuff, I won't go into it too long. Carol and I were actually talking about this together. When I diagnose horses on the racetrack or sport horses that are, hunter jumpers and they're working really hard, I'm looking for inflammation, I'm looking for changes in the body, and I have a lot of really incredible equipment to adjust for those changes. You don't have those changes here. Or the ability to make those changes here with the equipment that I have. Most of this you can do, yourself. But I find this problem in every single barn, whether it's a backyard horse who trail rides 3 times a year or an Olympic level show jumper. And again, I won't go into this too far, but 90% of the inflammation is dietary and not strength from exercise. There isn't a horse with a job in this country that needs corn in his diet. It should be eliminated from every horse's diet. Corn and sugar needs to go. If you want a horse that's going to live a long time, you want a horse that's not going to become insulin resistant, and you want a horse that's going to be able to flex for you, work for you, think, accept training, and give you a great ride, remove those things from their diet. They simply don't need it. There's a lot of wonderful horses in this barn. They all look very healthy. More than likely they need hay and mineral and water. We grain our horses because we love them. And I am the most guilty party that I love with food. I feed my dog too much. I feed my horses too much. I feed my family too much because it's a form of love and affection. That's my issue. My horse doesn't need it. I have to accept that. And unless your horse is an Olympic show jumper or you're endurance riding him, you can pretty much take grain out of his diet. He needs hay and forage. And a lot of your inflammatory response inside the body is going to come from diet. So you can talk to your vet about it. You can talk to an equine nutritionist, and I know several great equine nutritionists in Lexington. I'm happy to give phone numbers out for before I leave to come up with the plan that's right, dietary for your horse. But I just wanted to, explain that a lot of your horse's problems comes from here first.
Would that go then for like carrots and apples and
natural fruits and sugars are always okay. I feed a lot of carrots and apples. I keep them in my bag for therapy horses. Fruit is always okay. Vegetables are always okay. Some horses like turnips. I don't know why. Some of them do. That's always fine. You don't want to feed a horse anything with a pit, like an apricot or a peach or because pits contain a lot of iodine, which can be toxic at certain levels, and cyanide in some pits. So I have a horse that loves persimmons. She loves to go out to the backside of the pasture and eat all the persimmons she can, but it's very toxic. You want to keep those away from your horse.
So even a horse that's already insulin resistant is still okay with the natural fruits?
Yes. And you're always going to give them in moderation. You're not going to feed them every day. So those are always okay for diabetic horses or, heavily insulin resistant horses. One of the final things I wanted to talk about with therapy outside of diet is wounds. We do a lot of wound care, and again, we use equipment like lasers and such for wounds. The number one thing that you can have in your tack box all the time is not furazin, is not betadine. Raw, unpasteurized honey that you get from your grocery store that has not been through a company and been pasteurized is the number one wound care ingredient in the world. I use it in surgery on horses at Woodford Equine Hospital, and I squirt it right in the open wound. Now that's a sterilized honey product, but honey, raw, unpasteurized honey will sterilize a wound in 24 hours. It's one of the only things that will even kill MRSA and several different strains of bacteria. It feeds it with vitamins so it doesn't kill the good healing cells. If you put furazin or some of the other Corona, some of the other topicals on wounds, they'll kill off all of the cells that you're trying to use to heal all of your white cells. It does kill the bacteria, but you're killing everything you need to heal the wound as well. So I always have honey in my tack box and saline. that you would squirt for your contact lenses. We use a lot of wet dressings. If your horse gets a cut on the leg, squirt it with saline, flush it, throw some honey on it, wrap it. In the morning, you will see the granulation start. You'll see it start to close, and the horse will have no pain.
So you put the honey on.
Swab it straight on.
Now, will it
I use
say
tongue
if it's been
depressants.
pasteurized?
It'll say
It'll
100% natural, pure honey.
Okay.
Usually your local, your local GNC, places like that,
Oh,
grocery
okay.
stores that have non-commercialized, you don't want Kroger brand or anything like that. You just want a bland,
Okay.
Anybody that sells honey local to you is pretty much the best that you can use. And that's the only thing I keep for lacerations in my tack box is honey. So we use a lot of it.
We have another question.
Sure.
I want to go back to the feed for a second. For those of us who want to love our horses with feed, we should look at the labels and find one that has no corn in it.
The fastest way to do that, because you'll end up spending a lot of time comparing feeds, is go straight to senior feeds. Purina's Equine Senior, Tribute has a wonderful senior feed that has glucosamine.
ADM or Sage
ADM
Choice.
is, both of those are great.
Good.
Both of those are great. Because those aren't complete feeds, those are just kind of mineral based only.
They're forage first programs.
Stay on the forage first programs for sure. Yeah, senior feeds and the ADM line is wonderful. And ADM has a good mineral too.
They do.
Mormon's mineral.
You
If
do
you
the
feed that.
quad blocks or the
No. Oh, that's a good question. Blocks, mineral blocks and salt licks. Your horse isn't a licker. He can't get what he needs from that. I encourage people to feed loose minerals out of a tub or the minerals. John, I don't know the brand name that you have, but it's a solid, but it comes up really easy.
Yeah, it's at More Grow. It's in the 200-pound tubs. Mormons.
That one is
that's
really
what I
good.
use.
It's a forage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Morglow also has loose feed in bags. I mean, minerals in bags. Is that?
Just dump it in a
Amazing.
5-gallon bucket and hang it on a
Let
fence
'em eat
post.
it how they
And when it
want.
rains, it's not going to hurt those. Dump the water off. Your horse will keep eating what he needs. But they just can't make enough from the salt block
But
to
to
get.
just let them have a choice as even that loose in the bag
All the time.
is
Yeah.
good. It's
The first couple of days, you'll see them stand out there so much you'll worry about it,
Eat it all.
but they'll back off.
Now, something else that ADM had told me is when you feed their minerals, that you should not put salt blocks out.
No,
Right.
that's exactly right.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
eliminate. If you're going to change to a free choice mineral, pull all your blocks out first. That's
That's what I
important.
thought.
Yeah, you don't want
I
them to
wanted to
have both.
confirm that.
But even if you didn't, 9 times out of 10, your horse won't look at that block again anyway, because he'll actually be getting his needs met, at that point.
The
So,
balance.
yeah, so simple things like that. Forage first, the forage first pyramid about, forage, then mineral, then water. That's all your horse really needs. We have race horses that get very limited amounts of grain that are with top traders right now that are going to the Derby. And we have race horses that are getting 5-gallon tubs of feed every day, and I work on them a lot more. They have a lot of inflammation.
I had someone who does trotters tell me, now you gotta make sure that this horse gets 5 pounds of feed every day. I know.
And you better get colic insurance on it.
I only feed it really so that my horses are willing to come in, and then I can
Sure,
go over
sure.
them. That's really my main purpose, but.
Well, and flexibility. Like I said, if you want to make the most out of your money with your trainer, eliminate the things that are inhibiting flexibility in your horse. Do stretches, get rid of the sugar in their diet, and she can come out and do 10 times with your horse because she has a horse that can concentrate now, that's not going to wear out so quickly and has so much natural flexibility that it takes her less time and less equipment.
I was told also that if you feed corn, it creates heat in the animal's body, and in the summertime, it would be the worst thing you could do for them. Really.
It'll blow up their intestine. A lot of colic cases because corn can't ferment properly in a horse the way that it can, even in a glass jar with water. It's pretty. People don't realize that it's actually toxic to your horse on such a minor level, but we feed it to them anyway. And so when you feed corn in the diet, you're producing way too much heat and energy. Some people say, "Oh, I feed it in the winter." To keep my horse warm. Horses actually get more heat production from hay than they get from grains and corns. So don't believe that old wives' tale. You know, well, I give it to him in the wintertime because he needs that to stay warm. He needs more hay. And even if he just sits in front of a hay bale with his head in it all winter long, that's okay. Heat from hay per pound has a higher production rate than heat from grain. So, and as long as they look like this guy,
She's
they
not
don't
beating
need it.
him enough.
He's a happy guy.
Looks pretty relaxed right now.
He's running that massage. He loves this. These machines are amazing. They're wonderful. One thing I didn't mention too, this is the loose end point, and I'd be happy, like I said, to go around and show everybody on their specific horse how to find that spot. There's another one right here in front of the withers. We call that GV14. It's another spot that you can duct tape your massager down to loosen the shoulders and the front end. So, there's no other questions. I think Carol will.
Yep. Carol Weir is also in the Foxtrotter group, and she was going to do the same presentation as well, and so we kind of double scheduled each other. But any comments, Carol?
There's just a few things, especially on Foxtrotter. You know, we love to see that head bobbing, and they can't tell you, but they'll get headaches. And so you want to be careful or be aware, if you've worked your horse, even in a session like today, the horse is going to feel that. So don't neglect. I think they really have covered a lot about the stretching and the head, etc. But on the Foxtrotter especially, you want to make sure that the neck is handled and the head is handled. And one of the things you can do is just put the main gag and just put your hand right here. And you can just, it's called sweating. You can just leave your hand there for like 20 seconds. And it just relieves some of the pressure from the horse. And the more the horse relaxes, and you'll be able to tell, the better it's going to be for him. Jasper, of course, is a great demo horse.
He hurt himself just in time.
And I'm glad I'm third in line. I know I won't make any mistakes because he's already settled down. The other thing that both of the two previous speakers, Patty and Audrey, spoke about is the top line, which is so important on the Foxtrotter. Because the Foxtrotter normally has high withers, and if we don't have an appropriate saddle, etc., not everyone is proficient in saddle fitting, and some of us can't afford a $5,000 saddle to be perfectly fitted to the horse. So one of the easy things that everyone can do is start here at the pole and run your fingers along the top line. Don't go over the bone, come down by the shoulder, then come up and make sure you're safe and come all the way over to the tail set. And you do that lightly at first, then you do it moderately. And then on the third pass, you're going to do it heavy. So, and you use the tips of your fingers and just come down. And again, make sure you're not on any bones. All the way down. Okay, we also like to use the glutes a lot when we're riding a Foxtrotter. So, one of the other things you can do that's real easy, it's called a zigzag motion. Just start at the rump and just zigzag, and you're going to feel a bump, and it'd be like a speed bump, and that tells you that there's pressure. And so you just zigzag, and if you feel any bumps, like a speed bump, you just stop and do a light, and then moderate, and then heavy, and then zigzag through the rump. And normally, depending on the size of the horse, you're going to have anywhere between 4 and 5 lines. And you don't want to go past this area right here. Whatever you do on this side, you must do on the other side, because you want to make sure the horse is always balanced. So do, you know, this side first and then go over to the other side. And I'm just showing you a few things that you can do yourself. The other issue is his rectus abdominis here, where colic is so important for us to keep track of. So what I like to do is you just come underneath here, and if you have a feeling your horse is colicking, just come underneath, use the flat of your hand, and just pat it, and go up and back. And do it lightly, and then a little bit heavier, but always respect the horse. You don't want to pound it, okay? So you can do this. And what your goal is when you do the massage, normally the horse will always pass gas or, you know, poop, and that's what you want. So, or that's what I would like. So by the time you do the whole horse, and these are just a few things I wanted to show you that you can do yourself. And also it's a nice way after riding your horse just to give him some attention here. And again, let me just go over, make sure I just do this other side real quick. Now the other thing that I like to do too after a ride is you just, once you do the zigzag, you know, come over here and just kind of put your fingers. See how he lifts his tail? Yeah, you know, it's just little things like that that will help relax the horse. You can do this before and after, or one or the other. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. That's what I said. Yeah, and that normally happens too. And that's, you know, I like to see that.
You can tell they relax when they drop.
He says, do that some more.
Because,
It's a good sign.
and one of the first things I do when I work on a horse for the first time is you do an evaluation, which is real easy. But you always want to make sure you introduce yourself to the horse. And thank goodness I've never met a horse that, you know, didn't like me and I didn't like it. So those are some key things. Just, you know, for if you notice your horse colicking, pay attention to their back, their poll. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer. But the other two speakers, Patty and Audrey, did a lot of the same things I would do. So I don't want to go over that. It'd be repetitive.
If you could, Carol, just maybe any massage that you know. I know that there are some acupuncture points that you use to calm horses down, but there are better massage techniques. If you know any around the face or ears or poll that are good for calming horses down.
One of the things that you can do to calm a horse down from the very get-go is just put a little lavender on your hands. You never want the horse to ingest lavender, but they can smell it. And so you can always come up to the horse and just, you know, lightly put your hands on the nostrils. It's okay. It's okay. And, you know, it might take a few minutes to get that, you know, where the horse, you know, can settle down. If you want to do a few more things, just around the eyes. And I don't recommend this for, you know, we've all been to schools and certified, et cetera, like that. But so I just want to, you don't want to do this on a regular basis. But for instance, around the eye, you want them to always be soothing. And so you can just come and just gently go around the eye. Always talk to the horse too. cradle to face.
William Blank, he's getting sleepy face. I love when they
You won't
do
be able
that.
to ride him with too fast. But he needs a break after what he's been through, huh?
I love it.
Another thing is, whenever you massage your horse, you never want to just throw them out into the pasture. You say, okay, he's massaged, he's stretched, you know, he's good to go. After every massage, I like to work the horse for at least 5 to 10 minutes because you don't want them getting stiff. So please keep in mind, also make sure that the horse always has fresh water after he's been worked on, whether it's just chiropractic or whatever. He needs to be worked. I find the more I talk to the horse too while I'm working, he knows I'm there. Okay? And always keep one hand on the horse, regardless of what you're doing. One other thing, a lot of people you'll see, oh, this is a great horse, and they want to pat the rib cage, which is the intercostal, and that what aids in respiration, and you never want to do that. So if you're coming over here, don't slide your hand across. Keep your hand here and then bring your hand over here so that you're not interfering with this, because this is real bony, and so you don't want any pressure there. Are there any other questions?
I got one. So, like, for a horse, I mean,